Okay, we are recording. Tell me how you're doing.
Good. I actually, last week, I was feeling there was like a day earlier in the week, or it was the week before, and something had happened, and then I just feel like it just I just was like not eating out of control, but like definitely not. Like I went back to my old habits of eating breakfast, lunch, dinner, regardless of if I was hungry. I ate what I wanted, and I did that for like 2 or 3 days, and I felt like crap, and I knew and I wasn't really like something had triggered it, but then I just that was resolved, and I just felt. I think there was a part of me that missed the food, so there was that going on, and then.
Well, I'm assuming it's missing the
like the amount or what, I don't know.
Well, it's the relief or the excitement, or it's
Yeah.
missing the anticipation, like what it provides in terms of reward outside of just taste, right? Just think of the So let's look at this from the attachment style perspective, right? If you're securely attached to food, meaning because we have to have it, if you're secure, you won't need to think about it because it's there. So it's only really important when it's time to eat, meaning it's you're hungry. And then it's now? Like, exactly. And then you get excited because you're like, what do I have? What can I get? Mm-hmm. Do I have the time and am I in a space to be able to discriminate? Like I came home from work. This is a very busy day for me. Personal training. I work with a couple Parkinson's clients. I've had a meeting with my dissertation chair. I've got a phone call with you. And so I just came home and just heated up some pulled pork that a client had brought over from some picnic or some family get together they had. Do I know what's in it? No. Do I give a fuck? No. Mm-hmm. How many calories? Why does that matter? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the opposite of an eating disorder. Yeah. It is just this was one of those things when I had my eating disorder that would have been a fantasy freedom I couldn't even imagine that I could ever again have this liberation from being super anxious and insecure with food, where it's like, I got to monitor it. I got to measure it. I got to make sure I know what's in it. I got to, control how much quantity, measure, and then cross your fingers that you're going to lose weight. It's just intense, right? So if you're eating your square meals, is it because you're excited to eat square meals? You missed. Yeah. And that's, I think, what was part of it. But then at the end of it, I was just like, there wasn't joy in it. I wasn't savoring it. I was just kind of powering through it. I knew it was just, it wasn't right. I'm not trying to moralize it, but it wasn't, I think now when you know what you're doing is disordered, it's... Well, okay, let me ask a question. Did you feel overwhelmed? Like, I don't have time to think about this right now type of overwhelm? No, as far as dealing with the emotional side of it, or why? Well, just having to pause a moment and say, I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat. Yeah. Like, was there any moment in there that you were like, I'm not worried about it right now? Like, you're just like, whatever. Yeah. There was that, or there wasn't? I think there was, yeah. Okay. I just didn't even care. But flash forward, and I went to this last week, and I remember I was thinking about it, and I was just like, I was just thinking about that and feeling kind of like a failure in that, and then thinking,
I think I might have been, so I'm on IUD right now, and I'm perimenopause as well. But I finally hit this pump. I've had it in for, I think this is the third year, like right now, and I haven't had a period in like 4 months. It was like slowly going away, and then now I finally hit the point where I'm like jackpot. But so I don't like have the regulation of knowing but I feel like last week I was really like hormonal, and I feel like I felt really bloated like you are on a period, but no cramps, obviously none of that. But I felt like big. Like I felt big, and then I felt like I looked big, and I felt inflamed, and I felt all these things last week. And I was talking to Jeff, and I was like, I'm just tired. I feel like I just felt fat last week.
And that ultimately physically translates into threat.
Yeah, but I think, I was just like, I'm sick and tired of this. Like, I'm trying. Because last week was to me, it was a decent week. And I don't think my headspace was quite right. But so as I went down to his house on Friday night, that was probably like Wednesday during the week. And I think I just said I need to just start doing my walks and getting back into my routine of the things that I do to make myself feel better, because I haven't been doing that. And anyways, went down to his house on Friday evening, and I listened to the video, a recording. It was the first time that I've driven to where I could like listen to it in the car. And I just got so irritated listening to myself for 30 minutes. I was only halfway through it, and I was just like, I just got really annoyed.
Why?
I was just tired of hearing it. Like, I was like, just shit or get off the pot, I guess, is kind of where I felt like with myself, like, just shut up. And like, it just felt very self-centered. It just felt very like, why is this so difficult? Just get over it. Like, get over yourself. Like, just in a positive way. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why is this so... And I don't know. It was like something kind of clicked, and this weekend was fantastic. Like, I don't feel like I thought. I was like, nope. And then my boyfriend was like, well, come on, just eat this one. I'm like, I'm not hungry anymore. I'm not eating it. Like, it's fine. Like, you can have it, or we can throw it away. Like, it is what it is.
That's a secure relationship with food, because it's like, I can have it when I want. It's not going away. I can always get more.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't done anything wrong. It's not bad for me. You take away all of those things that can trigger this like insecurity with it. And all of a sudden it's like,
yeah,
not hard.
And then I remember like all weekend I was kind of craving a burger. Like, I think we walked by somewhere, and I smelled the burgers, and I was like, oh my God, it smells so good. Like, a burger sounds so good. But it never happened to where we had one. Which was fine. And then today I was like, I'm hungry. I'm getting a burger. And I was like,
isn't that like exciting or really? Yes! Oh my, it's the best. That is the best.
This is so good.
And you're like,
it was so greasy, and I was just like,
no.
Oh, it's amazing. That was so good. Like, it was so good, it didn't even catch up. And I normally am like a ketchup girl, and I was like, this is just so good. It's so good. I don't even eat ketchup. And but afterwards, it was quite greasy. So I was like, I remember like 30 or 45 minutes later, I was like, go.
Oh yeah, your gallbladder was just like, get all this bile out.
But I didn't feel like crap because I didn't overeat. I didn't get fries because I knew the burger was going to be enough.
See how that works? So you're not feeling deprived. You didn't feel deprived in any way.
No.
Yeah.
And it was actually better because I like looked forward to it for a couple of days, and it like builds up.
And you didn't do anything wrong, and nothing's been ruined, and you don't have to like go crazy today because you know what, you've ruined it. So you might as well get in all the stuff that you're going to restrict to get it in ahead of time. You're not doing any of that disordered eating type of shit. So that's huge.
I know.
I think it's worth observing the difference in how it feels. The relationship with food feels. It changes, right?
Yeah.
To where you're relaxed and it's exciting and you can look forward to it. And so that's the win-win, right?
Yeah.
That's the goal. As soon as we say, hey, pressure's on, you need to lose 20 pounds. What?
I picture measuring my meat and veg and cooking and eating the same thing throughout the week. Chicken and green beans with a little bit of hot sauce on the side.
Okay, then what happens when a stressor occurs during the week? You get pissed off.
Go eat chips and salsa.
And then what? And then you're going to say, well, shit,
screw it. And
I fucked it up.
Binge. Yeah.
And you know
what?
And
it's crazy too, because I feel like then there was like, it just felt like there was no limit. Like, I remember a couple of times when I ate and just to a point where I did not feel well. Like, I literally did not feel well, but long time ago. But I'm like, now I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Well, you haven't ruined anything. You're not going to you're not going to try to overcompensate the next day. That is the sandwich between to overeating before, dieting, overeating after, dieting, overeating. You know, it just is like, this is disordered eating behavior, which ultimately can make people very prone to eating disorders depending on how intense their weight stigma is, or how bad they feel about their body fat, right? Or how bad they would feel about weight gain or weight regain. So the question, I think, where you need to go next is, okay, so what happens then if you eat this way for a whole month? What do you think is going to happen? What if nothing happens? Except you feel physically better.
I mean, I think I'm willing to I'm okay with that, because as much as it would be nice to lose a little weight, right? I'm not saying that wouldn't be great, right?
Sure.
But at the same time, I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, because I want to see how it goes. Like, because I was like, okay, well, it was easy this weekend when everything's all fine and dandy, but like, where's the real test at work when something stresses me out? And so it's really like, for me, so what happens if nothing, there's no, I don't know.
Meaning, you eat this way,
and then,
and you don't overeat when it's stressful at work, and you're like, no, I'm committed to only eating when I'm hungry. If hunger isn't the problem, food is not the solution, right? So I have to deal with my like
anger issues,
your fight response. And not feel like you're deprived, or you're being withheld, or you're being like, you know, to look at that victim positionality, you know. So go there. What if you go through that, you eat, let's say 90% of the time within that Goldilocks zone, between the 3.5 and the 6.5, the 3.5 and the 6.5 of that hunger scale. And you lose 0 pounds. But you feel better, because chances are you'll feel better because you won't eat till you're full. You can get excited about what you're choosing to eat. Let's just say if you're on a weird hormonal cycle, you may say, oh, you know what I want is a cheeseburger. You go get a cheeseburger, and halfway through you're like, I gotta stop. So you're not, you know, because you hit that place halfway through, because hormones are shifted. And you don't lose weight. So let's go through that scenario.
I'm still gonna be happy, because I feel like it's a new way of life that I've never experienced. Not having that constant in my head. It was like this third person that was just always there.
What are you eating? What are you eating? How much have you weighed? You should be doing that. That's not healthy for you. What's in the food? You really fucked it up. Screw it. Get what you want. Have fun. Let loose.
Get a bad day. Go get a fishbowl margarita.
Yeah. You know, whatever. So I think it's important for you to look at that you're like, oh, it would feel really good because I won't have all the mind, the food,
Noise.
what, yeah, the noise of food, which is what occurs when someone is trying to restrict. That's like food noises, fight or flight with food, anxious with food. That's what food noise is. At least that's what the research shows, that it is highly emotional. It is not the addiction sitch. So, and food noise is typically noise around getting what you want or what you've been deprived. Reward. I want a reward for this bullshit situation. So, anyways, I think that that's something to really focus in on is, okay, this is something that would be worth it whether I lose weight or not, because it's going to get rid of all that other goddamn baggage. It takes a huge burden off of your shoulders, mentally, physically, because you won't be feeling like total shit. You'll notice I didn't say 100% of the time. Try to aim for 90% of the time, plus or minus 5. Between 85 and 95% in terms of accuracy within that range. So the other thing is, go through the scenario that you lose weight. Let's just say you lose 5 pounds.
My body's not broken. Yeah, it never was.
Never was. Let's go through the scenario of you lose weight and then you kind of regain some weight, and then you lose weight and you gain some weight. So it kind of goes up and down depending on your cycle. Just, that's not underwear.
It's a bathing suit.
It's spandex.
Are you flashing me?
There's spandex! Just so you know. This is a special kind of coaching. Oh my God. I can't believe I just did that. You're getting a different view than the camera behind you.
Good. Well, that's good.
Yes.
For the rest of the world.
That'll be the front-facing view on when I post it on YouTube. But anyways, so that's the next scenario would be, okay.
What if I yo-yo?
Yeah. What if you lose weight, right? So this is where I talk about the 5 steps of recovery, which really should be the 5 steps of secure attachment to food, if we're going to use attachment theory. You got to be okay. In order for you to keep this peace with your relationship with food, you got to be okay with nothing. With gaining. Like, what if you'd eat this way and you gain 5 pounds? We'll come back to that. So staying the same, gaining 5, some weight. For some people, like, who are anorexic leaning, they have to accept, I might gain 50 pounds if I stop dieting. If I stop doing all of this, I might gain, for me, it was like, I'm going to be 500 pounds. I'm going to blow up like a freaking balloon. Then the other thing would be that you lose weight. And the other thing could be that you lose weight and regain it. Right? All those scenarios. If you can get to a place where you don't give a shit, that at least you're open to finding out. Are you open to finding that out? Then the pressure stays gone, because then you can be truthful about. You can be truthful about it. About your, like, am I actually hungry? Yeah. I can be truthful. Am I actually hungry? Yes. Okay. You can be truthful. How full am I? Because it's not black and white. There's the leniencies on those edges. So there's that freedom of just being like, I don't have to manipulate the situation. If I'm not hungry, the answer's no. Because food and the key here too is in order to find out, you need to be truthful about it. Right? So you want to be as accurate as you can, at least for the, to find out, because let's just say if you are 90% accurate on, eating when you're hungry enough, but not too much, also eating adequately and sufficiently and pleasurably, but not too much, which is that fullness we want to avoid. If you eat accurately within that zone, that Goldilocks zone, what is the truth of your body's response? And also given the freedom of choice around the flexibility around what you want to eat and what's realistic for your lifestyle. That does not mean that you go out to eat every single meal. But if that's your lifestyle, and I have clients that's their lifestyle, like they live in a big city, they don't cook, they don't have a kitchen, so how does that truth show up physically, and then making decisions from there. So if you wanted to actually have consistent, if you want to fix a lunch, who gives a shit? Go fix a lunch, go make a sandwich, go take leftovers to, who cares? Some days you might want to go out to lunch. Some days you might bring a lunch. Some days you might, maybe it is that you actually love your vegetable, snack. That doesn't mean you're on a diet. That doesn't mean you're restricting. It just means that that's something you actually enjoy. Okay. So, then you go out to dinner. Well, think about the way you want to eat moving forward and implement it. So something that's sustainable. Do you want to go to the wedding and be able to have some of the wedding cake? Then have some wedding cake. Do you like the cake? Do you like the frosting? Take some of the frosting off. If you don't like the cake, then eat just the frosting. How much do you really need? How sick do you want to get? You get to play with those things as if this is kind of just a lifestyle. I hate using that language, but it's very secure, very low pressure, easier to manage. There's not much management other than putting food on the table, wherever that table is, whether it's in your home, whether it's at your desk, or whether it's in a restaurant or on the beach or, whatever. So, but you got to be prepared if you want to keep this up. You need to be prepared for what happens if you gain weight. Can you see how that would be an important thing for you to foresee, or at least be curious about it?
Yeah.
Because if you're not open to finding out, you're going to control everything. You're going to be like, I'm not open to gaining weight. So that means you have to hold on to, what I've observed, not only in my own issues from decades ago, but working with people over the last 2 decades, has been that if you have a fear of gain, you are going to be very strict within that hunger zone. You're going to use it as a diet, which is kind of what we've talked about. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to use the hunger scale as my new restriction, and I better be perfect. So it takes out that lenience. And then you're going to be like, yeah. And then you'll start to be like, well, I'm going to cut out carbs. And then what do you think you just triggered?
Yeah, you just did it. You're in that diet mentality.
You're there now. You're that whole brain just shifted into anxiety, an anxious-based relationship. And then you better freaking lose weight. And then what happens if you don't? Or then you're stuck in there, right?
Yeah.
Until you're willing to surrender that and find out the truth. So that's the key, is if you're going to find out the truth of what your body's natural state, where your body's natural state is, well, then you kind of have to give up some of those controls to find out. Again, the only thing that's controlling this would be not just one thing, but it is your biological hunger rhythms, that your goal would be to be honest about it and learn it too. Because some of it could be that you're not being dishonest so much as you're just not as accurate yet. The other part is you get to choose the types of food, but most of that is based in palate, right? Because I would like you to go into the palate like you did with the hamburger.
Mm-hmm.
What sounds good? Do you want ceviche? You want sushi? Do you want Thai food? Do you want a burger? Do you want just a bowl of cereal?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Isn't this sound...
Yeah.
Doesn't this... Aren't you sick and tired of talking about it?
I am. That's
Me
what I was
too.
like when I listened to the video. When I listened to the video, I was just like, "Oh my god, shut up!" And I was like rolling my eyes at myself.
Oh, be kind.
Well, I know. I just was tired of it.
What annoyed you the most?
I don't know. It just felt like, get over it. Like, shit or get off the pot, I guess, is what I was annoyed with. Like, just...
You mean it around the weight or around holding yourself accountable to eat when you're hungry?
Over trying to, I guess, in a way, like, me eating those 3 days the way that I did was me... You mentioned it a couple of sessions ago, is grieving the loss of, because I was like, it's really not that much food. And you're like, yeah, it's kind of crazy when you just listen to your body.
Yeah, really.
Because you know, and so I think that part of it was grieving I guess the amount, or just being able to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and realizing that it was going to be forever changed, knowing that going through this process, albeit I want it and I need it and all these things, it's good for me, was like a way saying goodbye to that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it was like the long goodbye, those 3 days.
That's hilarious. That would be the... You know, here's the deal, too. If you're still going through... if you're in perimenopause and you are also kind of still menstruating, right? You're going to have that PMS. There may be days you wake up and you're like, it's 7 a.m. and you're like, God damn, I'm hungry. Oh, shit, I'm hungry. Whoa, what am I going to eat? Go to McDonald's, get a Egg McMuffin, you know? Honestly, the way that I look at it for myself, knowing my body at this point, I'm 49. You know, I'm perimenopausal. I've had a hysterectomy, but I still have my ovaries. I do have an estradiol patch. I don't know, because I don't have a menstrual cycle anymore, but I don't menstruate, but I have a cycle hormonally. I wake up. I have coffee. I put a little protein in it. I put a little cream in it. I put a little sweetener in it. I don't even know what I just, blah, blah. And it's very consistent after waking. I get excited for that. That's one of my favorite things to do, is wake up and get excited for my coffee. Do you have do you have that in your life?
I do, yeah. Okay. I have coffee, and then I am very stringent on having my, God bless it. Perimenopause. My supplements. So in the morning I take, I do a little bit of hormone replacement therapy. Okay. So I have a little bit of, I think, I don't know, estrogen or something. But so I take those with whatever, a daily whatever. And if I don't eat something with it, I can't do just coffee. Yeah. I can't just do any. But so I was doing a banana, and I'm like, there's just not.
Have you tried it?
I'm doing a protein. It's like a protein bar that is so good. It tastes like a candy bar. It tastes like 1,000 grand or 100 grand or whatever. Yeah. But I have one of those. It's just like 200 calories. Okay. And I enjoy it. I do. I enjoy that. I enjoy having it. I could probably have half of it. But then I worry about getting sick. Because sometimes it might not bother me. Sometimes it would if I only had 100 calories.
And it's the timing of that is important for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I do that. That's my little ritual, and That gives me like a boost of protein in the morning. I feel like helps. And then today I was like 11:30. I was like kind of feeling a little bit hungry, but I think it was just the very beginning of hunger. And then got tied up busy. And then it was, I've got an interview at 1:40. All right, we're ordering. And it wasn't like I was ravenous. It was fine. And that's when I had that burger, and it was great. So I've been really trying to pay attention to. And the other day, like I had a protein bar, the coffee, and then I think we went on a pretty long walk with the dogs, and then got back, and I was like, I feel like I need just something, a little bit something. And so I had like a little chicken breakfast sausage, or whatever it was. Or turkey sausage, I'm not necessarily, but sure, there's little, I just had a couple of those, and I was like, no, that's it, that's perfect. And I can't even remember what day that was, if that was Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
Just,
it's that easy.
Yeah.
It's my thing is right now is like sourdough.
Yeah, so we went over to his neighbor's, and she makes sourdough, and she made homemade hummus, and she had like some carrots. They were like garden carrots. They were so good. They were just massive carrots. Oh my God. They were so good. And she made fresh sourdough, and I was just lathering butter on it. I was like,
that's what I'm doing. I'm like, I just put it in the toaster, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so good. Yeah. Put that salted butter on it, and yeah. I mean, it's so. But then, like tonight, someone brought over this pulled pork. I just put it in the oven and was like, I don't even put it on a piece of toast. I just ate it, and then I'll go in my backyard and pick raspberries and just eat raspberries. I mean, it's seriously.
Yeah.
I can imagine, however, let's just say that I am going through a feeling withheld, feeling deprived in my life, feeling resent, feeling pissed, where I might be like, how do I feel better? What can I do to feel better about this injustice, right? Where someone might need to do something about it. And for a lot of people, it's food consumption. I've earned, and for dieters, it's always food consumption,
So what happens, like, after that? Like, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, I've taken away pretty much drinking, vaping, dieting, right? So does one, and so then somehow I stumbled on a reel, and it was somebody asking what's the most unhinged way to kind of break your nervous system, like get your nervous system back into whack after something stressful happens. And they were like, dunk your face in water. I'm like, I can't do that. Like at work.
Some people tap. Some people do tapping.
Okay. So somebody said, finger fuck you. Like spell it out like in cursive
and do it with your left hand. Do it with the opposite hand. Your left hand. The other thing is, one, just acknowledge that you're, dysregulated.
Yeah.
I'm dysregulated. That immediately will have an impact. I'm feeling withheld. I'm feeling deprived. Talk to the actual feeling and give it a voice. It's saying something. It's giving you a message. It is a message from your nervous system. And we have words to describe it, and sometimes the action of just description it's like a release. At least that's what I have found with clients. The actual verbalization pulls your frontal cortex into activity, and that shifts. Yeah, because you're going from response to dysregulation, where you're like on fire. Like your sight just goes, and your immediate response is going to be to fight, flee, fawn, pause, freeze, all the things. And we do it through all sorts of different psychological mechanisms. And if yours is to fight, and for you it's also pleasure seeking, whether it was cigarettes, vaping, gambling, scrolling, distraction, quick look, let me check my Instagram, or let me just go on a Facebook, or let me go whatever, anxious shit. Oftentimes just taking that present moment, that's that mindfulness we've been talking about, to just give it 10 seconds. Just give it a space of time. But you have to be able to practice that and take the time to do it and be like, pause a second. Let me just describe what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling attacked. I am feeling extreme fear of abandonment. I'm feeling that they perceive me as a failure. I'm being, that actually can make a big difference. And sit in that for a moment. Again, that's what that does, is it's taking that area of the brain that is like the amygdala side of it, which is a reaction to perception. And you're saying, oh, this is the feeling I'm experiencing in the moment. That's the beginning. The next step would be, okay, well, why am I feeling that? So you may not have the time to process like that, but even so in that moment, just be even saying, I'm dysregulated. Start there too. I'm pissed off. Okay, 3. Why? Because I feel disrespected. I'm almost, this is what you've had in the past, right? Why is that a problem? Because I feel I've earned respect. Well, why does that matter? Well, because respect means security and power. Hierarchy. I want to feel like I earned power, a position of power. I want to have the position of my voice matters. Okay, well, why does that matter? Well, that means that I'm secure in my job. Well, why does that matter? Well, because I got to pay my goddamn bills. Because. What do you think is going to happen in that moment? You gonna get over yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why, like, a lot of it, because, I was thinking about it even before we were talking and just trying to gather my thoughts, and I was just like, because I knew you were to ask, like, well, what were you so irritated about? And it was like, it's kind of thinking back to everybody's got their own experience. And here I am like, but this made me feel this way. And then I ate a burger because I felt this way. And it's just so like, it doesn't acknowledge that there's other people having an experience too. And then I'm just here having does that make sense?
Yes.
Am I verbalizing it the right way?
Yes, I think well, and let me say it back to you and then you can correct me. What I'm assuming you're saying is, in that moment, I'm assuming that I am the victim of the situation and I am receiving this, when in fact, that's just probably, that's your personal experience of reality, and the way you're interpreting it has everything to do with your childhood trauma. You know what I mean? That chances are it's not what they're meaning, what they're saying, but even if they do mean, and can you handle that? Is it the truth of the situation? What can you do about it? I don't know. You're in the moment. It's like a position of powerlessness. I could be wrong.
No, and then if they are coming from a place of nasty or negative or whatever, well, then screw them.
Right.
Right? Like, so it's questioning all those things, but at the same time, like, I'm in this human experience and there's other people in it as well.
Who are having theirs. Yeah. It's, yes.
Not just another show.
Facts.
So, yeah.
Where do you think that comes from? Is it, did you, I mean, we don't need to hash out your childhood, but is it something as simple as you really were neglected?
I don't think I was really neglected.
Did you perceive yourself as being neglected?
Maybe. Maybe I interpreted that as I got older. Maybe because, yeah, I mean, I really wanted my parents to acknowledge that, drinking and drugs, I could see it. I saw what was happening. And, like, I asked my mom one time, I was like, would you please not smoke weed? And she was like, no. And this was when it wasn't really cool. Like, I think this is like 96, 95. So, and I was young, but she knew that I probably figured it out. Like, I flash back to when I was younger and the smell and, things like that. And I think that DARE program, like, made it out to be like this terrible thing.
Hey, I graduated from drug abuse resistance education. Okay. I got the t-shirt too, and I got a certificate.
So,
did it work on me? Hell no, it didn't.
And I think my cousin had asked her mother to stop, and I think her mother was like, "Oh my gosh," and just had this big kind of, if you come to Jesus, when her daughter asked her, and just was like, "No, yeah, I'll quit. We'll both quit." And my mom didn't do that. My mom was like, "No, get over it. This is my thing. This is what I enjoy. This is how I decompress." Mm-hmm. And maybe I thought, then I kind of internalized that as that, well, that's how we handle stress. That's how we decompress. That's how my family handles it. I always said when I got older and like used alcohol and drugs was like, I literally compared it to this, but some people's parents are doctors and they become doctors, and like my parents, use drugs and whatever. And not that I was going to become a drug dealer, because they weren't drug dealers. But
at the time, did you feel embarrassed or feel like a loss?
Bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Oh, like my parents suck. Why can't I have the parents that are like, I promise I'll stop? Yeah. Like, why can't my parents care about me? Like, it was an action of not caring, or you're not important, or it's
That's how I felt. And then I used it as, well, then you can't tell me not to do it.
And you can't tell me what to do.
They would be like, you can't do it. And I was like, nah.
This is how I'm decompressing.
Yeah. You can't do that.
Oh my God.
So I don't know. Yeah, maybe there was but I don't think, I didn't have a bad childhood, like at the end of it, looking, we had a great childhood. And it's really not that big of a deal, kids brought up nowadays, it would just be, it's nothing. It's like, we were at an outdoor concert in downtown Decatur. City Hall is right there. There's like cops right here, and there's people just vaping those weed pens, just everywhere. It's just so, but I think as a kid, we were so ashamed of it. Like, we just wrote notes back and forth about it and talked about it via, like, we were so ashamed to just verbalize it.
Yeah. Tell me how that worked out.
Well, what, by me not verbalizing it, like with my cousin, or what?
The shame and the stigma around smoking.
I just felt like I wasn't as, like, I felt like I belonged to hang out with the rejects, the kids that weren't great kids. That makes...
Yeah. The research around DARE shows that it did the opposite. It did the opposite. Not only was it like, what happened is it took out credibility too, because the way that they described drugs as like, you're gonna die. You're gonna, like,
if you smoke weed, you're gonna become a heroin addict.
Yeah, and then when you smoke weed, you're like, well, that was a bunch of shit. So it almost made it seem safer. Does that make sense? It had a rebound effect in terms of how credible now authority, like anytime it makes it so that you're like, sure.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of research out around those high concentrates and how terrible they are for your mental health. But
yeah,
the high concentrates are like,
I was listening to something they were today. A doctor talking about how if you have a psychotic episode while smoking weed or whatever, how you're that much more likely to have
no, it shows up as bipolar or schizophrenia or schizophrenia. Yeah. But the research also shows, given time, that those symptoms go away. It doesn't necessarily make you that way permanently. But the problem is those high doses. I mean, we're talking 30%, 50, 80%. 80% is also creates the opposite impact. It can make you irritable, agitated. It creates a rebound dopamine impact. So you end up being like not okay, perceiving reality with, distorted ways of looking at it. Anyways, we're digressing.
Yeah.
So the DARE program turns out to be right. I'm kidding. Totally kidding.
All I know is I gave my dog a CBD gummy yesterday because there was a thunderstorm rolling in, and he was totally fine. Like, my dog is like, doesn't even care. He'll go outside when I'm like doing mortars or whatever. Yeah. He does not care. But Jeff's dog is super anxious, and he had been anxious all weekend. And I think it was just a day too long, and my dog was around him, and he just started getting anxious. So
yeah.
But the time had already passed, and so we gave him one, and he's sitting on the couch like a lead weight, eyes wide open. He's like, and I would like rub him. I was like, "Are you okay?" And like his tippy toes would move, and that's it. Yeah. He was just block of lead.
Yeah, maybe take.
He's better. He's better now.
It was just CBD, right?
Yeah, it was just one of those dog gummies. Like, yeah.
That's hilarious.
I was like, I don't know. That, or maybe it was like the stress had hit. It wasn't like you're giving him one before the stress. So maybe he was like...
Right.
I don't know.
That's hilarious.
I was like, this is not good. Poor guy.
Well, I think that's something interesting to look at too, is just how your perception of authority, how you perceived healthy boundaries too with authority figures, being able to take advice. Do you find that that's something? Well, I don't know. I've not heard that from you yet. Your parent figures, to me, this is where you begin to relate to. These are your core attachment relationships, at least if you, again, looking at it just solely through attachment theory, which there's more than just this, but they kind of lost credibility for you in that sense. Like, they became no longer someone that you actually
respected or
felt that they had your interest in priority.
Yeah.
Even though they did. But that was something that for you was, especially when you compared yourself to your friends' parents who probably kept on smoking, but hid it.
Yeah.
But your mom was just honest. That might have been a moment for you to, I mean, if you could go back in that moment, knowing what you know now, how would you perceive that differently? I'm just curious, out of curiosity.
It's not that big of a deal. It's just really not.
Well, and your parents, if this is the thing. Yeah. And of course, the weed at that point was probably 5% THC.
Yeah, so it's like ragweed. It was like... She used to use this like a cinnamon roll thing. Like, I don't ever use them, but they're like a baking pan. You know what? No, sorry. She just never baked cakes. So it was like a cake pan, like a 9-inch cake pan. And that's what she would use to like pick it up and roll a joint or whatever. And it was always hid under her bed. So I had found it, I had found it already. Yeah. Like little roach clips.
It's hilarious.
But yeah, it was probably like just a ragweed, like nothing. And
even then, given, let's just say it was something that was prescribed, what if it was, the perception of it as a danger or as stigmatized as something that makes you bad or criminal or I mean, did she smoke cigarettes? What if she had smoked cigarettes? Would you have been better with that?
My dad smoked cigarettes, I think because it was socially acceptable. It wasn't as big of a deal.
So that didn't affect you the same way? Right. Yeah.
But when I got into trouble once and I couldn't smoke weed for however long, this like when I was older, and I smoked cigarettes because I was like, well, let's smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
Because I can't smoke weed. And that's how I started smoking cigarettes. But, and then of course, when I could smoke weed after that, and then I'd smoke cigarettes after I smoked weed. And then just stupid.
How old were you with all that? Was that recent? Is that still? There ain't nothing wrong with that. There's no judgment.
No. I can't, I feel like after I had that situation a few years ago at Palpitations, there's this bar up here and it's called Good Old Days. They have really good like wings and just like bar food, but it is all really good. They even have good salads, but it's a smoking bar. And I went in there like 4 months ago or 3 months ago, something. And I woke up the next day and I felt like I had a brick on my chest. Like it was bad. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, and I had only been in there for 30 or 45 minutes. Yeah, they have live music. It's fantastic, but I will never go in there ever again. So no, I can't smoke. I don't smoke anything. I was for a while because I was trying to get off the nicotine, and then I would have like insomnia. So I would take, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like an over the sleep aid.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I would take a sleep aid, and then to stop with those, because you really don't need to take those if you've had a drink. So sometimes I would have like a weed gummy, but that's the only thing that I will ever possibly do is a weed gummy, but not, it's usually just to go to sleep.
Right. And the research that's recently come out, at least with smoking or any type of weed use, which they believe it's the actual smoking of the weed that actually is connected to cardiovascular disease. And it actually was written in the research because I read the actual study. They think that most likely because they didn't differentiate between the gummies, that chances are you're not going to have cardiovascular disease. Of course it's connected to smoking weed. It's like you're putting it in your lungs.
It's like, yeah.
Like, what do you think? You're not going to have anything? Anyways, well, so coming back to the process, right, of regulating yourself, the first step is you need to be able to say, recognize I'm dysregulated. Versus being in it, right? Again, we go into what does it mean to be mindful? It means that you're experiencing this human biological reaction that is uncomfortable. And it can actually be comfortable too. You can be dysregulated in a hyperactive way, right? Hyper stimulated, hyper excited, hyper overly, projecting something bigger onto something than it really is, right? Thinking you're going to be more successful than you really are. The fantasy side too. That is also dysregulated. It's not just, do you ever get that way?
I feel like I do.
Where you're like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. Not being able to say, hold on. It could, but where is the probability going to land? People do that with weight loss. When I lose the weight, I'm going to be so confident. I'm going to feel so good. I'm going to feel like I have the freedom to be myself. I'll have control. That is dysregulated.
Yeah. I heard some stuff, and I was like, that's unhealthy. That's unhealthy. I did notice I picked up on other people. Like one girl, she was talking about this girl that I followed when I had TikTok. I don't have TikTok anymore, but I can still see her on Facebook Reels. But she makes really good recipes, and she makes usually a higher protein or a better option type of recipe, whatever. And this lady has lost 180 pounds. She's probably my age, whatever. But she was talking about these wraps, and I go, are you talking about this girl that shares recipes and stuff? She goes, yeah. She was like, she's so pretty. And I go, yeah, she's pretty. And she goes, well, now, especially now that she lost all that weight. And I'm like, but how do you know? Because you don't know what and I just thought it was so shitty. I was like, first off, you can be pretty. Some people they're still pretty, even though they're heavier, right? Mm-hmm. I just thought it was so screwed up because this girl in question that's making the statement as well has lost 100 pounds in the last year or two, whatever. And if you're trying to talk about from a physical standpoint, and this sounds really shitty, but is not pretty, right? She's just not super attractive, right? Mm-hmm. But to me, I'm thinking of it on a point of, it's not about what your face looks like. It's who you are inside as well. It's who you are at your core.
Right. Well, because beauty standards change. Beauty standards change.
Yeah. And I just think that this girl, I like her because she's honest. She does stuff that's might not be super healthy, but it's hey, this is my little hack for Chick-fil-A or whatever.
Something fun.
Yeah, right.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure.
And people hate on her, and she's just whatever. And she's in a Diet Coke for the haters. She always says that at the end or whatever. But I like who she's I like the type of person she is, whatever. Yeah. And I'm it's not all about your physical face, Yeah.
Well, I think it's important to, with that said, I totally agree with you. It is definitely a reflection of what someone has internalized in terms of beauty, what that is. And it changes, right? Skinny jeans, bell bottoms, high rise, low rise, hairdos, bangs, no bangs, long, middle part. So, who the fuck knows? It changes all the time. Those are things that are pretty inherent to the human species around how we want to fit in. Body image is not going to go away. And so her perception of what is beautiful has definitely been internalized as something thinner. How many people in this country feel that way? Yeah. There's a massive industry around all of it. Even being younger, being older. How does the fact that I'm graying my hair, is this attractive or not? I guess it depends. It depends on how someone might interpret the fact that I'm letting myself go gray without doing anything about it. I have no lip filler. Should I get lip filler? Oh my God, I'd be so much prettier if I had lip filler like this. I'm I don't.
This looks so stupid.
Hey, but to some people, it's beautiful.
Oh,
right. So what things are internalized and what they mean and how I wanted to say this. I do want to finish with this. We can sit here and say you're dysregulated, but actually you're very, very healthy. That type of regulation, that type of fantasy world, blowing things up to be better than they actually are, minimizing something to be worse than it really is. Those distortions are healthy mechanisms. They're not really disordered, but they are potentially a distortion if you are not kind of anchored to reality around the truth of what the potential is, right? So we can sit here and be like, when I lose weight, I'm going to feel so much better about myself. Hold on. You might feel proud about reaching a standard that society says makes you more valuable, but it requires that you are now working out and you're doing all these things that now take away time for other things. And you have to be fixated on food, and now you have to deal with all of your food, noise. And now you have to do, so is it as fabulous as the fantasy? Well, no, because the fantasy didn't include any of that. You don't feel, now you're scared to regain. So you don't really actually enjoy the weight loss. So the fantasy of the thinnerness doesn't include reality. The key is being able to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and eat to hunger. You're going to try to do it as accurately as you can. You're going to try to do it accurate 90% of the time. What should we be expecting? If you sit there and think, well, I'm going to lose a bunch of weight. Well, what if you don't? Anchor yourself in reality. How would you feel? Well, I would at least have the relief of the food noise. Okay, now you're getting into a reality point. You're no longer going into this dysregulated way of seeing your goal, right? In a positive way, or dysregulated in a negative way by being able to say, well, I'm not going to be able to do it. And no one's going to love me anyways. And I'm just going to fuck it up, I guess the lesson I'm hearing is right now is the next step for you is to, one, do the same thing. Don't change a fucking thing. Two, don't expect any weight loss. Let's just be open to see what happens. Because even if in a month from now you stay the same, it'd be interesting to find that out. The next thing would be for you to recognize when you are activated. If we want to call it something different, the language could be activated, that you actually recognize it. You go, oh, I'm activated. This is a me thing. This is a me thing. I'm activated. What is it that's doing that? How am I feeling? And just take a note. What am I feeling? How am I feeling? And why? Because ultimately, when you and I talk, we may go back, and all I'm doing is saying, well, because you're not doing it at the time live, you're not doing it in the moment. We're going to try to go back and see if we can recreate it retrospectively, which is not as accurate as when you're in the moment. Right? And then also, can we do foresight? Can we go forward prospectively, retrospectively, prospectively, and see if we can self-regulate a little better with self-awareness? That's what we're talking about. You're not broken. There ain't nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You're kicking ass. I'm super pumped with what you've brought to the table. I mean, every time I am.
Yeah.
Because there's something happening. I mean, the fact that I'm here helping you, the fact that you've reached out for help, that means that you have what it's going to take, because you're open to suggestion. You're open to feedback. You're processing it. Even though you're being a little bitch, get your shit together.
Selfish little bitch.
So self-absorbed.
I thought I was generous. Selfish sack of shit.
Do you know, I'm totally
like me.
I think you're doing great. This was a big moment. I think for you to have that relaxation and for you to enjoy that burger and for you to not feel all of that distress and not to have to overconsume and not it be all or nothing, all of that is very, very good. So, awesome.
Yeah.
I think the next step would be to continue and just monitor. It doesn't have to be strictly. I'm not asking you to sit there and take notes. I'm not asking for a strict monitor. Just pay attention to when you are activated, when there's dysregulation, and just see if you can catch it. And take mental note. If you want to write it on a piece of paper, I don't care. Some people may do that. Some people don't. I don't want to suggest anything you're not going to do. So if whatever it is you're going to do, I would say pay attention to even if it's just for the rest of today or just tomorrow. How often do you feel that like heightened and then where you have to do something in response? And is there any connection to food consumption? And if you're not hungry, the answer is no. Food, if hunger is not the problem, eating is not the solution.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you do eat for that reason, don't criticize, just observe.
Yeah.
Take note. Don't be an asshole to yourself and be like, why am I such a little bitch? Shit or get off the bat.
Yeah, I had to stop it. I was just like, oh.
Well, go back and listen to it, but maybe that was good for you. Maybe it was good for you.
I know.